Good evening, friends and subscribers. This is your host, D. Doss. As always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Tater Plays, Mr. Tate, and now that somebody's echoing, and Timothy Beloved, who is introducing in the YouTube channel, Fathoms of Fortiana.
Howdy, everyone.
Welcome to the show, Timothy. I'm going to do my art presentation through the whole show.
Good to be here, guys. Tater, how's it going, brother?
Pretty good. How you doing, Tim?
I am well, sir. I am well.
All right, enough pretending we hadn't been talking for the last 30 minutes.
I know. Swamp Dweller says it sounds muffled.
Sounds muffled?
Sounds like you're in a tunnel.
The tunnel? I am in a tunnel.
Is it better now, fellas? And by fellas, I mean that in a non-gender specific way. I apologize.
Anyways, we're going to talk about the weirdness of World War II. How I believe that the modern-day cloning program, NASA and their nonsense, as well as some of these cryptids were started by the scientists that we acquired through Operation Paperclip. Now, I'll be, stringing together a lot of loose theories, mind you, but that makes sense to me, so I'm certain it'll make sense to you. And Timothy has some stuff that he's going to talk about as well, because he's cheating. He's reading stuff to you guys. I'm going from my brains.
I don't have the vast caverns of knowledge that you have, sir.
Where are those at? I read about most of it, so. But yeah, we've had some fun off air. But on a serious note, I got an email that there are a lot of people who are under 1,000 subscribers that are YouTubers that are going to lose their monetization. There are a lot of independent researchers who are, in my opinion, doing outstanding work out in the field, out of their own pocket, for nothing more than to share it with you guys. So I would hope that you would join me in the next week or two in promoting these guys and trying to get them up to at least 1,000. I know it doesn't seem like much, and it probably won't be much, but a month of that monetization could be gas money to go to the area. It helps. It really does when you're doing this. To have so a little bit of extra monetary means to bring you out there in the field. Anyways, yeah, there's no long epic speech or anything. I was just saying, Sam Squatch jumps into my mind, Brown Dwarf, long epic. A ton of them. I mean, I'll sit here all night talking about the guys who I try to put momentum behind, because they deserve every bit of it. But anyways, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Feel free to start us off. Yeah, I'm throwing
all right. So what we start with, guys? Come on.
I don't know. How did NASA get started?
NASA?
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
Well, yeah, Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun. That's who I was mainly wanting to talk about. How he was a adamant and feverish Nazi who kind of helped Disney, build what we know now as Disneyland. And
yeah, Werner von Braun was basically in charge of the way Disney produced their propaganda machine.
Well, you didn't know about propaganda coming from Nazi Germany.
That's pretty well documented. There was a book about McDonald's, how the McDonald's, I think it's called the franchise, and how the franchises started, and they were talking about how Disney got his start and how Werner von Braun kind of catapulted Disney into the realm of like every media available at the time, from radio to cinema, and then then they entered into the whole theme park thing. But Werner von Braun was very instrumental in not only the way our advertising worked with Disney, but like overall. and it's weird how his tentacles really reached into just about every part of commercial advertising throughout the 50s.
Yeah, I didn't know he played that pivotal of a role.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a rocket scientist, but he was also, I guess, a pretty good promoter, huh?
Yeah. I don't know what his role was exactly under Hitler's regime. I'm sure that's not hard to look up. But, that book kind of opened up a lot of eyes to what was really going on, and sort of the whole, the idea of the franchise and marketing and propaganda. And there were two people who were pivotal in the role of propaganda from the early 1920s and then into post-World War II, and one of them was Werner von Braun. The other guy was kind of pre-World War II, and he was involved, and I wish I could remember his name, he was involved in women's suffrage. He was actually in charge of...
Joseph Goebbels?
What's that?
Is it Joseph Goebbels?
It might have been Goebbels, yeah. He's the guy that changed the sashes, the colors of the sashes that the women wore when they marched for women's suffrage. And he actually rearranged their whole outfit so it matched the cartons of Lucky Strike cigarettes. And
wow.
Because he wanted to open up the market for women smoking, for big business. And once they saw how it totally worked, and all of a sudden you got women who are trying, to be these strong, independent characters now after, decades of oppression in America. Suddenly now they're smoking, and it's not, the cigarettes just aren't for the Marlboro Man anymore. It's not just Virginia Slims. They're kind of working into the women, the market of the women. Really, it was solely based on monetary gain. It had nothing to do with promoting women's suffrage at all.
Wow. Well, that's just like, what's his name? Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss played a big role in American propaganda. A lot of people don't know that, but he was
I did not
feverish.
know that.
Yeah, that and that, and he made adult-oriented, picture books with his artwork. It's weird because it looks like, Cat in the Hat and stuff.
Oh, I remember the first time really reading a book from Dr. Seuss that wasn't part of the the plethora of children's stories from back in the day. It was in my high school library, and I was like, whoa, this whole thing is sexual innuendos.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was weird, man.
Very. But Joseph Mengele, he was another one in the Nazi regime who, he did crazy and sick experiments on many of the people in the internment camps, but he had a special focus on twins.
Yeah.
Not to go into graphic detail, but he would separate them and make one adhere crazy, ridiculous abuse to see how it affected the other one. And a lot of people say, and I do believe, because Joseph Mengele, as sick as he was a pretty smart man. He opened up the genetics programs and stuff in Germany.
Yeah.
Baby mills that they had over there. He was the father of that, basically.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird that they would have all this knowledge, far and beyond what we had at the time.
Yeah, the Mengele twins, there's photos, there's photo libraries of the Mengele twins. It's horrifying.
It is.
And there was one lady, I put in my Facebook a while ago, she's a survivor. She's one of the few surviving Mengele twins. One of the twins, her sister was murdered by Mengele. She died from her things, and her perspective on it and the evil that they experienced was really tremendous. You can look that up. I think it's just surviving Mengele twin speaks out or something like that, and it's heartwarming. The way her level of forgiveness is just incredible. But she talks about it.
And there was a village in South America somewhere. I forget where, but he supposedly fled, along with Adolf Hitler and a lot of the higher members of the regime, the ones that were really into the occult type stuff.
They fled to Argentina and Venezuela.
Yeah. Yes. And I think it was in Venezuela, actually. This village has it has an inordinate amount of twins. And, you know, a lot of the older locals say that Joseph Mengele had himself some sort of a villa there, because there was German architects, I think in the late 20s, that went and built these beautiful mansions, much like you see in the old propaganda films that they lived in. So I don't think that was for no reason, you know what I mean? And some of the stuff that was declassified by the CIA recently blatantly said that Hitler lived past, you know, the bunker incident, that was yet another body double that he used.
Oh yeah, there's pretty good evidence that it was a body double. I think they said when they actually did like the DNA test on it, it was the skull of a young woman. So it certainly wasn't him. I mean, that's just crazy.
No, yeah, like, and Russia actually called America's bluff on it, because we kind of pushed that forward that he was dead for various reasons. I can understand, you know, the world at war. We destroyed basically Germany, and we want it over with, you know. So as long as he was keeping his mouth shut someplace. But even the Vril Society, you know, and that opens a whole another box of madness. The Vril maidens, you know, they wear their hair long because they say that gave them more of an access to the spirit world.
Yeah.
And they let these spirits inhabit their bodies, and they give these, you know, high-level occultists all this knowledge to build supposedly flying saucers and the Glock, the Nazi bell, which I still don't know. There's so many theories about that. There's a lot of proof that it was real, but nobody really knows what it was used for.
Yeah. Well,
some people say it was a time machine, or
the Vril Society.
Sorry, bro.
No, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The Vril Society too. Like weren't some of those women considered breeders? Like they actually were. Some of their roles were to actually just breed more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used them in those baby mills, basically. You know what I mean? Because they were, according to these Nazi occultists, the top tier, you know, German woman.
Yeah, which is actually a if you study the occult or any satanic orders, that's a pretty common practice in Satanism. Like the Brides of Satan, they actually have people that they call breeders. That's their sole role, is to be impregnated, and you know, they're horribly abused individuals. They're usually kidnapped when they're very young, or actually born into this. And then from, you know, the moment that they can conceive, they're basically producing for ritualistic human sacrifices.
Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. And it's that focused energy crap, you know. Who's to say that they didn't capture all these poor, innocent Jewish folk, you know, to focus the energy of the terrible things they were doing to these people. Focus that energy on these little occult practices that they had going. What Booker Farm said, what I believe Timothy, as well as myself, believe, that these UFOs are indeed man-made machines. They're getting some sort of oracular knowledge from the spirit world to build these advanced machines that you can see in hieroglyphs. And I don't want to get it wrong. I think it's Egypt. You know, they have flying saucer type machines, helicopters.
Yeah. There's some hieroglyphs that show what looks like some sort of a modern military base with helicopters.
Yeah, I find that to be very strange. You know, and you could take that back to the oracles. You know, giving military generals, Caesars, leaders of empires this crazy knowledge that they would have no other way to win battles, conquer more empires, expand their own. I find it awful funny that this Nazi regime, and I know the history behind it. You know, he made the new money that was debt free because they acquired all the debt from World War I and all that stuff. That's all well and fine, but
when you watch that propaganda footage of all that sea of humanity, listen to Adolf Hitler, and just the way they're completely enthralled with everything he's saying. I mean, I think there was a little bit more behind it besides him being charismatic.
I would agree. There seemed to be some sort. I mean, it's possible that maybe he was tapped into something and figured out how to hypnotize an entire group of people using media. But there seemed to be something a little more. And people that were at those rallies, like the Hitler Youth, I've seen interviews with some older men who were part of the Hitler Youth, and they said the atmosphere became electric when this guy showed up, and it was mesmerizing. It was like it was sort of like the Beatles hysteria, but like on a militant level.
Right. And when you look at, I was just thinking of Elvis and the Beatles. When you really look into the individuals, they were Madame Blavatsky, who actually came up with and introduced the swastika to Adolf Hitler and those top Nazi officials. Madame Blavatsky and this Vril Society. With these Luciferian and Satanist cults, it's always about being the superior to the inferior. They're the tippy top, and everybody else is some sort of a dog to be used at their discretion and whatnot. But it's always, like you said, that electric atmosphere. Elvis read like some sort of publication that Blavatsky started, and it openly admitted that he was a part of the Theosophy Society or whatever it was called. I believe that's correct.
The Theosophical Society.
Yeah, the Theosophical Society. There you go.
That was from the modern Spiritist movement. That they kind of consolidated and just called themselves the Theosophical Society.
Right. Yeah, actually, because her publication was straight up called Lucifer.
The Lucifer Publications, yeah. Lucius Publications, I believe is what it was.
Which is still in existence in some aspect today. So, it's not science fiction. These people are doing these crazy occult rituals and making things happen. Just like we found out recently, the woman who had the mock sacrifice in front of the statue of Shiva. That was as real gets. I mean, they focus people's energy on that event. And that woman laid her life down for whatever agenda that they're pushing forth.
Yeah, that's some weird, troubling stuff. At first, I was kind of like, yeah, it's totally, that's fake. They're acting it out, which is still pretty horrible. But then when the investigators actually came out and said, yeah, this actually did take place. We don't know why, but someone really did lose their life during this.
Yeah, and having that knowledge and going back and looking at it and seeing just the zombified demeanor to everyone present, especially that woman who literally laid down willingly. So, a lot of people come on here and talk about leave my beliefs out of it and whatnot, but with these people who I consider to be my enemy, they're deeply religious.
For sure. Yeah, there's I've heard so many debates too about like all the Nazis, weren't really occultic or blah blah blah, and if you go online, there's sort of two ends to that, but based on what they were doing and where they were doing it, there was absolutely like a hyper spiritual overtone to where they set their bases up, to the sort of rituals they were in. I mean, just the blood flag. I mean, that
Right.
That alone, is part of a Nazi ritual or a Luciferian ritual that it became. And it's crazy.
It very much so.
Bigfoot in Germany is talking about how he's got like a huge theosophical presence out there by him. They've got schools and universities and hospitals and stuff.
Well, yeah, he's over there. I mean, and with his research, weird stuff comes from that. Yeah, the aftermath, exactly, like the weird spiritual entities that he's catching, glowing white faces, and actually, I'm going to put up a video tonight where I've been going over my old footage, found one of these flying rods that people are talking about, odd stuff going on in the woods, and I think it has a basis. Where I go on the river, it was one of the main lines going west for the slave trade. People have been murdered, dumping ground for the Dixie Mafia and the Dallas mob, the Dallas La Costa Nostra and all that. So there's something with this tragic stuff, and focusing. Now, maybe not even focusing. Maybe a bunch of evil and wickedness takes place all within a certain region, and it soaks into the soil. I don't know, but it's weird for sure.
Yeah, totally weird. There's a whole new and maybe you can talk to your new team member out of Germany, and
yeah,
probably,
it's Kirsten.
Probably big too about that, because there's a whole new this revival of some of the Nazi spiritual overtones. They're these young groups of neo-Nazis going into smaller villages, and it's happening a lot in Poland too, and sort of trying to institutionalize sort of the National Socialist order, but they're using Nazi means to do it. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I actually saw a little bit of that. And like I've said before, it all seems engineered. I don't believe in happenstance, chance, or luck.
Yeah.
The culture clash. Well, that's a topic for another day. But these societies are still around today. There's no doubt in my mind. The first person to publicly say something about a new world order was Adolf Hitler, to which Roosevelt, he adamantly said he's going to destroy this new world order before it even gets started. And the person after that, the next political figure, was G.H.W. Bush. I found it to be awful strange. His nickname in his fraternity at Yale, the Skull and Bone Society, was Magog. So
really? That's interesting.
It's very interesting. So if anybody has any kind of biblical scholarly knowledge, you know who Magog is. It's very. These people are willingly and adamantly wicked. These Canaanite rituals that they do in the Bohemian Grove. You could see the same type of stuff happening with this Brill Society in Nazi Germany. There was a guy who was really, they say, the head of the Nazi Party, and Adolf Hitler was the mouthpiece. And he was I can't remember his name.
Himmler?
Heinrich Himmler. I believe you're right. And he was the one that was sending expeditions to go find the Spirit of Destiny, all sorts of crazy relics that have these magical qualities to them throughout, mythology and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, Himmler was, I think he was the head of the SS, actually, and that was the whole, hyper-spiritualized end of the Nazi Party. They weren't just your normal foot soldiers. They actually had a mission. They were but Himmler's the one that kind of confiscated those castles and started doing rituals in certain castles.
And if you look at the SS, in the old footage, you look at their eyes, man, it's like looking at some of these people that you see their mug shots now after they shoot up a bunch of people. There's something missing it.
Yeah, I think Himmler too. I think he was actually what the Red Skull was modeled after from the Captain America series.
Right. Those comic book nerds. Woodbooger Farm always throwing knowledge down in the chat. Little Bush, who is also a member of Skull and Bones, is called Gog.
Yeah,
so you have Gog and Magog. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Gog and Magog war. Yeah. Again, though, I mean, that could just be, every fraternal order has weird. I mean, they could just play into it. So
sure.
To give everyone a list of, sort of apocalyptic names, but, who knows?
Well, then they pick Godzilla. He's a representative of the apocalypse. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
I think it's awful funny. I believe wholeheartedly. He was a CIA agent during President Kennedy's assassination. It's been found in FBI documents.
He says he doesn't know where he was, or he doesn't remember where he was during the assassination. But there are pretty definitive, in my opinion, definitive pictures of not only him, but G.W. Bush in Daley Plaza. So, you know, it kind of dates back. Then you get Bill Clinton talking about the New World Order. It's madness. And you got to look under the surface of the agendas that they're pushing for, how they're separating Americans by silly things. Race relations have gone back to what it was in the early 60s.
That's weird.
It is, but I mean, I don't think it's unintentional.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, there seems to be a systematic order to it.
Yeah, and they have it down to an art. You know, everybody plays their little part to completely destroy our society to bring forth that martial law that would be needed to have the one world government. Exactly what Adolf Hitler wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's depressing. I mean, be a Debbie Downer, but
a little breath of fresh air right there. Thank you, man.
Yeah, right. Kenny, the sort of Vermont. Do what? I'm sorry. Do what?
Making my Jewish blood boil a little bit there, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, put that Krav Maga on those modern day skinheads. Don't think twice about burning the American flag. Or sorry for getting political.
Live chat is keeping track, man.
Tonight, man, I'm proud of you guys. They're keeping us. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We were clowns before we came on here, so I apologize for that. Me and Timothy acting like fools in the back of the classroom.
Sorry.
It was Antarctica where Hitler went. Yes, Antarctica. Operation Paperclip. Thank you. Who was that? Woody Booger? Kimmy. Thank you, Kimmy. Operation Paperclip. Admiral Byrd. That's another thing. It goes from that Grill Society, like we were saying, giving them that knowledge to build these weird machines. Admiral Byrd went on basically the Late Show of that time, talking about, you know, how when he gets past the ice wall, he sees big open valleys with trees and greenery. It insinuated that they ran into flying machines that can go from pole to pole at an amazing rate of speed. I mean, he was a straight character. He was the youngest admiral at the time, or youngest person to ever be awarded the title of admiral. You know, he was an adventurer, rich guy, came from an affluent family. But I don't see him all of a sudden losing his mind a handful of months after he comes back from Antarctica on some TV show.
Yeah, I'm still. I mean, you know, it's kind of speculation until there's some definitive evidence. But I'm still up in the air with Bird. You know, was he just was he sort of a plant, you know, and that information? This is like a psyops against the American public. It's hard to say, man. It's like I don't know what to believe anymore at all. But Antarctica has like popped up a lot in the last 6 months, like just everywhere. It's like in every like conspiracy corner and like even like fringe Christian stuff is popping up. And so is the diary of Admiral Byrd, which again, like there's a lot of evidence that Byrd wasn't exactly honest with some of the writing, or if the writings were even his. That's sort of the big contention.
Yeah, I mean, and it does kind of coincide. I don't believe the hollow earth thing and their controls being taken away. I think that's a little bit of fluff that's been thrown in, or maybe something to throw you off what was really going on. But I wholeheartedly believe, and there's a lot of evidence to the fact that Adolf Hitler did build some sort of a base there. You know what I mean? People are saying, I guess they're saying we hit a nerve. And our stream dropped off, I guess.
Yeah, they said the streaming was going on, man. Weird.
That is weird, isn't it?
Is it still going on, guys? I can't imagine there's anything that important being said here that's going to...
Well, I mean, it's happened like that before, though. And Tate...
Yeah, it says live stream's offline, dude. It just went offline.
That's something else.
I'm refreshing to see right now.
Everybody in the chat said that it was buffering, but now we're off.
It's buffering.
Yeah, we just went off.
No, we're offline. Yeah.
Completely offline?
Can y'all hear us out there?
Can you hear me?
No, we don't, man. I don't think so. I got it on Net's phone over here, and like.
I'm looking at it in the chat, and it says live stream offline.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we're offline. It says the live stream.
We're dead. We're dead in the water, Tate.
And I just refreshed and too, and nothing's.
Yeah, we're done.
What the hell happened?
Up, though.
Can you hear me?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
But I'll tell you what. Y'all both seem wide open. I say we just pick up where we left off. If you hit private on that and send it to my email or send it to me on Drive,
I am Ripper, Tearer, Slasher, Gouger. I am the teeth in the darkness, the talons in the night. Mine is strength and lust and power. I am Beowulf!
And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
Good day to you all. This is Morgan Freeman. BDOS and the BDRP is the best, hands down, in the world.